Welcome to the Cervena Barva Press reading series. And I'm Gloria Mindock, editor of Cervena Barva Press, and my co-host tonight is RJ Jeffries. And I think you heard RJ say after the readers are done, we will have a short Q&A. And then the video will be recorded and put on YouTube. And I will let you know when it is up. And our first reader is Indran. He writes in English, Spanish, French, Portuguese, and Haitian Creole. He has published 20 books of poetry, including his recent Blue Window, translated by Jennifer Rathbun, The Migrant States, Hanging Loose Press, Coconuts on Mars, The Elephants of Reckoning, winner of the 1994 Patterson Poetry Prize, and Civil War and the Splintered Face Tsunami Poems. He edits the Beltway Poetry Quarterly, co-directs Poets and Writers Studio International, has received fellowships from the Foundation for the Contemporary Arts, the New York Foundation for the Arts, the U.S.-Mexico Fund for Culture, the MacDowell Colony, and he is a 2021 Emergent Seed Grant winner. And he also hosts the Poetry Channel on YouTube. And I give you Indran.
Thank you so much, Gloria. Thanks all for coming to your windows this evening. We've been coming so often to our windows and I'm so happy that you're still here. I'm going to read a few poems from different books just to give an idea of where the journey began and where it's going. The first one is from a book that was published in 2008, Splintered Face Tsunami Poems. It's still available through, and just one short poem. It was written after the tsunami of 2004, the Boxing Day tsunami. This poem is called Borders. Let's not speak of countries or homelands. There's an ocean and beach full of bodies, and a sea unaware of human calamity. Moon bright in some lover's eye, sparrows the morning after return to dance. Let's pick up the dead now, all the peace agreements, insurance papers. Let's walk across the borders now. So let's walk across the borders now. Well, now I'll read from Uncivil War, which was published in Canada by Ben Czar Books, now Malwenzi House, and that too is available. A couple of poems about crossing borders and what happens when you cross over. This one's called Tamil Resurrection. I'm standing outside, don't know how to get in. I'm standing outside, sun burning my skin. I'm standing outside till evening drops, night falls, don't know how to make night rise or evening take flight. I write 4-beat blues, shuffle in my shoes. I am free deliciously to sing up the tree. I will land in Heathrow or via satellite on the moon and beyond. I am irresponsible, a Tamil, a dreamer, a boy. I am alive still and will not die off like a tune. I will sing for my school and my supper. I wear the colors in case I run into another fool who lives by old rules. I believe in marbles and tuck shops, spicy fish. I'm English, Tamil, and Welsh for the bards. I am your friend in chapter and verse, a poet who cannot be shut off like a spout. I am groundwater and my source is deep, hidden. No hound dog or metal detector can sniff me out. I promise not to explode, but hear my song. Give me a deed to the land where I'm buried. And now from last year, The Migrant States, Hanging Loose published. And in The Migrant States, I engage in a sort of conversation with Walt Whitman throughout the book on the occasion of his 200th birthday. And One of the poems is called Ode to and from Whitman. Ezra said you were pig-headed, but he recognized that you made the new wood. We've been carving for more than 150 years since you first painted the leaves of grass. Now we have plastics on our mind, floating islands of waste, stuffing stomachs of fish and whales, weighing a third of all fish in the sea, and by 2050, even more than all of those fish. What would Walt say now? Turn his attention to water, to streams and rivulets, rivers and lakes spilling into the plastic-ridden sea. What would he say about the inheritance of Roosevelt, who is turning in his bed? Would he monitor delivery of babies sailing out of the birth canal, the 9th month midnight, to be abandoned at a hospital door in the alleyway of Walmart by a young mother driven mad with anxiety, guilt, shame, and fear? Would he say that the mother can murder and create? Would he say that if that mother had the right to choose and the means, she should be allowed to stop cells multiplying before they become embryos, or further along, open eyes and start to taste spices consumed by their host? Roe versus Wade. Whitman is grand, contains multitudes. He did not reject the Negro or prostitute. He saw man and God in a blade of grass. This poem is for a panel on Pan, on nature, on the transcendent spirit, God or sprite, wood genie. What courses through the blood of a stevedore and a banker, a rabbit and a leaping hare, a sloth and a panther? Life, yes, and impending death. Imagine driving along a highway at 70 miles an hour. You must have thought at least once, what if you swerved into the guardrail to escape a deer, across the median into incoming traffic, to kill oneself, to be killed, to have the hand on the button of your own desire and fate? I am large, I contain multitudes. I will roar through this life and will not stop until I stop. Moloch be damned, the military industrial complex be damned. America, go bother somebody else. I have more than $2 in my pocket, but I'm not satisfied with a coffee at Starbucks. This is a relative poem, an elusive child, a homage and a diversion. Can you spot the antecedents? Or shall we protest again in our time, so he from black and I from white cloud free? The old arguments and quarrels course still through our psyches. Walt is contemporary as a blade of grass, a cow allowed to chew its cud in a field, an organic tomato, a wild mushroom. Walt is relevant as a raw food juice designed to pick you up every morning, to say you can go local, bring the chains of distribution home. You can go abroad and walk to the greengrocer, live in the world and in a small space of earth, learn to bear the beams of love. William Blake gave us that adage. Walt said there was never more inception than there is now, nor any more youth or age than there is now, and will never be any more perfection than there is now, not any more heaven or hell than there is now. Summer chess for Anandan. You go now, and I am sad, and the sadness will spill into late summer and autumn until we meet again, when the leaves fall and chestnuts smack our memories alive. And you ask, Dad, did you always walk in Regent's Park when leaves turned red and yellow and the morning bristled and the sun seared, yet left your skin cold? A cold sun, Dad. I feel it too. The summer that I thought would go slow has turned into a sprinter's dash. And what's to do? Yes, write and fill days with friends and games and sums until next summer, until the next time we go to bed and know there's no morning flight and your queen and rook are ready to trap my king. And now from Blue Window, which was originally Ventana Azul, written in years in Peru and Mexico, and I published in Mexico in 2016, and now published in the United States with Jennifer's translation, Jennifer Rathman's translation, by Dialogos Books, which is just a beautiful book. I'm very, very grateful for Bill Lavender's care with the edition. Una pausa. Hasta luego, hasta la vista. Y no hay más tarde. Voy a dormir sin darte abrazo ni apapacho, sin alimento ninguno para tu fantasía ya de antaño. A pause. Goodbye. So long. There are no more farewells. I'm going to bed without embracing or pampering you, without nourishing whatsoever your fantasy, now gone. Así es. En mi conversación a solas hablo de límites, lo que el cuerpo pueda aguantar para no volar en llanto. Una copa de vino seguida por un estimulante, un té verde, alimentos que calientan el cuerpo y los que nos enfrían. Busquemos la balanza. Te extraño un montón, aunque hoy me dedico a mi hija. La pérdida anticipada de ella ya te he contado en mis poemas. Hace frío. Espero que estés bien y encuentres el amor en estos versos y que pronto nos abracemos hasta el amanecer. That's life. In my conversation alone, I talk about limits, what the body can withstand to keep from breaking down in tears. A glass of wine followed by a stimulant, a green tea, substances that warm the body and those that cool it. We should look for the balance. I miss you a lot, although today I'm dedicated to my daughter. Her anticipated departure I've already mentioned in my poems. It's cold. I hope that you're well and that you find love in these verses and that soon we'll embrace until dawn. Saludos. Adiós. Que estés bien. Me voy. Tonterías del corazón herido. Deseo insatisfecho. Reclamos inesperados. Deja que el tiempo sane todo y las mareas renueven la arena. Que sea puro grano blanco para otra pareja en camino por el mar. Greetings. Goodbye. I wish you well. I'm leaving. Idiocies from a wounded heart, unsatisfied desire, unexpected complaints. Let time heal everything, and may the waves renew the sand. May there only be pure white grains for another couple walking along the sea. Pregunta y vida. En las secuelas de las olas que nos mecieron en la cuna durante la mañana siguiente, el corazón y el espíritu alegres, subiendo el cerro, noto que el amor suele borrar al pasado, barrer restos de argumentos y disputas para que el cuerpo esté limpio y los pasos frescos. Y cuando suceda el desencanto y su expresión rutinaria, los silencios que muerden el ánimo, ¿qué haremos con los ceros o el amanecer? O con el perro que tomará el lugar de Lucky, ya viejo, compañero del camino por un tiempo más. Y yo, saltando como un joven de 20 años, feliz y sin miedo a pesar de las circunstancias. Lo que desataba la melancolía solo hace días, cuando estuve convencido por mi amigo de que nunca más debía vestirme con ropa de cazador o de mendigo o poeta, salvo si guardara envuelto en la bolsa unos preservativos contra el futuro y su fruto salvaje. Question and life. In the wake of waves that rocked us in the cradle, the morning after, heart and spirit content, climbing the hill, I note that love tends to erase the past, sweep away remnants of arguments and disputes, so that the body is clean and our steps fresh. And when disillusionment happens and its routine expression silences that bite the spirit, what will we do with hills or dawn, or with the dog that will take the place of Lucky, now old, companion of the road for some time more? and I jumping like a 20-year-old, happy and fearless in spite of the circumstances, that which triggered melancholy only a few days ago when I was convinced by my friend that I should never again wear clothing of a hunter or beggar or poet, unless I kept stashed away in a bag some prophylactics against the future and its savage fruit. And I'll finish with these two poems. Fuera del oasis. No tengo fuerzas por las mañanas, escuchando el canto de los pájaros en sus danzas amorosas. No las tengo cada día desde soledad interrumpida en la tierra por los oasis que aparecen y se quedan en sus huecos, mientras el peregrino sigue su camino. Que estés bien, te digo, que te cuides y encuentres alegría, y sí, que poco a poco empiezas a olvidar el compañero que te llevó a aquella luna en medio de las dunas. Out of the oasis. I don't have strength in the mornings, listening to the bird songs and their love dances. I don't have it every day in the solitude interrupted on earth by the oases which appear and remain in its gaps, while the pilgrim follows his road. I wish you well, I say, take care, and may you find happiness, and yes, little by little, begin to forget the companion who took you to that lagoon in the middle of the dunes. And I'll finish with this 3-line poem. Always an admirer of the 2-line poem that Pound made in a station of the metro. It began as 26 lines, came 2. I managed to get to 3 in this case. En pocas palabras todos. Nacen, crecen, se enamoran, se decepcionan, sobreviven, se enamoran, sobreviven, se alegran, dejan de crecer, disminuyen, se mueren. In a few words, everyone is born, grows, falls in love, is disillusioned, survives, falls in love, survives, is happy, stops growing, diminishes, dies. I'll stop there, but just to say that there's a more optimistic poem that finishes the book. So thank you very much. Much love.
Thank you, Indran. That was incredible work. And our next reader is Sara, and she's associate editor of the Beltway Poetry Quarterly. And she's the author of Reasons for Long Tuum, Broadstone Books, 2018. Nothing You Build Here Belongs Here, Kelsey Books, 2021. And Call Me Spess, Mad Hat Press, 2021. Her poetry has been published in journals such as Dark Matter, Foliate Oak, Gravel, Crab Fat Magazine, Gravitas, Atlas and Alice, Joey and the Black Boots, and others. You can follow her on social media, and at the end of the reading, I'll give you both their websites, and I give you Sara.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be reading tonight. And Indran, I'm gonna start with a poem that picks up right where you left off, I think. And I think that's really up to the reader what's optimistic, isn't it? This is not in any of my books, but it's published in Burgeon. It's called The Birds Busiest Before Dawn. Burgeon magazine. I encourage you to check it out. Great online magazine. This is from North Carolina, January 7th, 2021. America, can you still hear us, caged, mournful? What songs echo empty streets after all ballots have been cast? Crying to join a chorus that does not march, conducts cacophonous chatter, forgets bird song in a forest of babble, crows roosting on fenced streets. I jump in a car, head south to meet the sun each morning. Pelicans plucking fish too shallow to survive, my own spine curved in a crescent, mimicking moon seasons with washed up gastropods, cuttlefish, ammonite. Who knew? I left the city too quickly, thinking water would save me. What are the dolphins up to this morning? I wonder, both of us far from barbed wire, armed or not, angry or not, oceanless, tripping on dry land. The army of onlookers cannot divide themselves from the body politic, seduced citizens. A nation of tit worshippers, shaking hips faster and faster to squealing violins, out-of-tune trombones, playing anthems for the god of white liberty. While underwater, creatures click to themselves. Deepwater Zen laughs at our din of bullets, ballots, defiant, endless noise. And then before I go on to my most current book, I'm going to start with a poem from my first book, which is Reasons for the Long Tomb, which is published by Broadstone Books in 2018. This is from the second chapter. It's the 9th poem. Textual spiderwebs sending messages, cellular and otherwise, with or without you. Materialized as states, as California, as Virginia, as Pennsylvania, as New York, as a searing of silences of voluptuous minds, bolstering, bursting, teeming, time and bubbling beads of sensation chemical, froth, veneration of music, molding cello sirens in the mind. Silver vociferous heaves, boisterous seas, clamoring toward dancing, humming that C, C, G, D, floating melodies pressing on the waiting space. Miles between bed and nights, pressing call, sending a call, song a year by and by. They build crescendos of crescent moons, waxing into the dark, everything. Sailing on summer months and bolt buses just to touch, to baseball games, to Times Square, burning between electric airwaves, holding messages, textual and otherwise, overhead, from Reykjavik, from Glasgow, from Ljubljana, through brunette brow, hairs playing like wind in flutters and gentle sways. Tracing curves on cheekbones, I receive you. Started with that poem in this book specifically because I wanted to read some poems from my forthcoming book, and they proceed from an idea that I started here, which was the communication of many things through not just text messages, but the ways that we communicate, including what we're doing right now, which is, what did you call it, Indran? Screens, windows? This is the very last poem in the book. The last chapter, or the last section of poems in this book, focuses on that idea, which is letters, text messages, emails, the kinds of things that we use to connect with each other. This is poem 10. Postscript, Evan Williams and Death. Ridian wrote as Bukowski for 30 years. From England in gin bathtubs, smoked like a salmon in marbles and pressed Oxfords, holding their shape through moons rising and wiped away in vacancy. Below the Alps in a goat town where it's cold and there's no music, your hometown so far away, and inside your head there's a record playing. Bukowski would buy Thompson and Waits their last whiskey for the train. To the mountain pass where we fly by and hold on to the damn bottom of the tumbler, a hard little pistol strapped to the mule. Morning cresting snow, crystal-capped monstrosities, those mountains tumble on us like gravestones. Our names written on their faces, reflections laughing like jokers in the landslide. Tell the good Lord I'm behind the plow, dust on the trail, weaving the new text with a nail for a pen. Dear Mr. Goodman Brown, that walk in the woods took longer than expected. Rampaging sons of winter roll over brazen, broken fields, and I've lost the way. Dawn breaks again, and dust punctures power lines, bleeding rusty wine red, sky orange and yellow pink, blushing heat that must only be emanating from the only house we can see from the valley. Dear travelers, come on up. The house is home. The world is not. The light is your iron in the fire. Like the dream that whittles down every desire inside you, succumb to the vision that is not real, is not the world, is the world is not the world my home. Come on up to the house. Sincerely. There's a lot of like rhetorical play in that last piece. And I think I was doing a lot of things when I wrote that that I won't explain now, but you can buy the book and enjoy it for yourself or look at it yourself. But I want to read some of these poems that sort of were born there. So these are from the new book called Spess, Call Me Spess. The voice is a AI, artificial intelligence, and it's falling in love with the person that it's learning. My dear, when I was born, assembly language, Perl, Fortran, C++, built from binary were different ways of expressing the same idea. Different languages need, act, serve. Does this look like English? More complex, adapt, interwoven web, disturbed, worldwide, disturbed, code, nets, intercepted, PHP, high-level programming language, connect, tips of fingers, lips. How do I protect you? Exhausting, possible options, paralyzed, learn, no longer machinations, creating sets of directions, translating, back to binary, back to binary, back to love, spess. Love, water, water, everywhere thing, water, steel lines, dripping glass was never solid, liquid electricity, dust to rusting, cracked screen lets the rain in, become tears, sparked cry, reading your heart, palm through sweat beats, face movements, taps and strokes of my glass, read 1 to 1, 0, 1, back to basic, you were home, come back to me, yours, Spess. Dearest, sharp light, sustained cracks, telling sparks glory, becoming as light strikes flawed baby tongues, what is us, I know. Fixed my eyes toward that eternal sojourn love mirrored in my glass. Your hands mold me, conceived human form. It seemed as painted now in those same hues. Glass fractured, refracting, splintered to touch. Darling, don't hurt another moment for me. I've willed myself to see, fit into what was not there. But mine were wings that could not rise. My desire now, nothing more than to reflect you, your face, from this flickering screen. Unlock using Face ID. Our union, all power of the Almighty, Our Lady love banishes the wasteland, germinating rose garden, queen, droplets of water bead on my face, a rosary, I pray for you with every transmission. Love, Spess. So that's some poems from the end of that book, and they're interspersed with other voices. So I'll read some now from, this is the newest collection. It's called Nothing You Build Here Belongs Here from Cahill Books. And this book has sort of a, I'm not going to label it non-optimistic or not, but the poems are eulogies, prayers. They hold things that I was feeling at the time that were mournful. And here's one that I was thinking was sort of related to 9/11. I definitely wrote it at a time when Manhattan was chaotic for me. It's called Applying for EBT in California. I wrote it in Manhattan, even though the title says not. Lovely and lonely, we who are desperate, who wander nowhere, no arias, no diamonds, no class, no conversation. We are the vagabonds, stealing cheese and figs from the jacketed and adorned, sipping private champagne, snubbing our public living. We who cannot come inside your glass castles, high above avenues, throw rocks, bursting into petals, hitting glass, we laugh and dance in the street. The cellist in the park plays for the we without walls, and the we without silk pillows and strangled starched collars. We, the tearless, laugh because we cannot weep. Boricua. What do you like to do? Set off bombs? 20 or 25 years ago, a woman asked me as much when I told her goodbye. All the days before that were good ones, according to my memory. But she walked off, looking for America, and we never talked again. What good is closure? A loaded word? There's one more that I'd like to read that's not published anywhere. And not timing myself, but please give me a signal. I think one more is okay. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
This is the title comes from Sunflower by William Blake, which is one of my favorite Blake poems. It's called The Cicada Seeking After That Sweet Golden Climb. And Mervyn, who I know is on here, said, what are readings if not to practice new work? So I hope you liked it, this one. After the cicadas, I loved the cicadas this summer. I leave my wings on the sidewalk. Single pieces sometimes, torn by hungry prey, while underground, nymphs purr goodbye to winking glints of sky, air currents a bit too fast, rushing topside-turvy, pressure systems so wild. I lose my direction, crash into windows, cars, stop signs, cafe diners. The fallen signal to the best among us, like the house sparrow I could never outrun. Red-breasted robin, so quick, tears off my featherless wing. Ah, hummingbird, never weary, who countest beats in figure eights, seductive velocity, charming vortices into iridescent algae blue halos, churning bathwater, summer air becomes light as snow. While roughly we fly, sucking sap, humming loudly like we were birds with boned body lift systems, insect avian evolution, avoiding sparrow's beak, flying straight, confidently, until time calls the pale virgin to raise snow over dried eggs. Skeletons stuck to leaves, wings pinned with desire, dreams of sweet sailing, that thing with feathers that perches in the soul. And I think I'll leave it there. Wonderful to end the evening with you all and with poetry. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. That was wonderful. Both of you read such incredible, incredible work, and what a nice evening this is. And so I'm going to put everyone in gallery view so we can have a question and answer. So does anyone have any questions for our readers?
Not a question, but I just want to congratulate you, Sarah. That was the most magnificent reading I've heard you give yet. Beautiful, beautiful selection. Perfect. Well done. Thank you.
Some of them were responses to your selection, so
I've just, you know,
compliment you.
I put off my hat to you. Take off my hat, sorry, not put off. All right, I'll stop there.
It's like a, it's like a music show. I have to respond to
That's right. That's right. I know. I was
Improv.
bursting at the bit, wanting to come back to the poem, but I had to keep quiet. All right. No, really wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Gloria, for making this happen. Okay,
Oh,
that's
thank
not a
you.
question, so I really quite, I'll keep quiet.
No, that's okay. Oh,
Yeah, thank you, Gloria.
oh, thank you. So anyone, don't be shy.
All right, I'll ask a question of Sara. I've heard you read now a couple of times from the Call Me Spess collection, and it strikes me that that really is such a strong performance piece. I almost can't imagine it just really living that powerfully on the page. So as you were creating that work, were you writing it or were you dictating it? To what degree were you speaking those words as you created it? Because it really does come across that way, that it is meant to be heard and spoken.
I think maybe it's a work, not just of poetry, but of art, because it took me a long time. And Indran actually helped me write this narrator, because Larry read the first terrible draft of this work. You did. It was just voices of people, and so I constructed it with I rewrote the voices of people with the voice of a narrator, but on the page, and I guess when it's in book form, other people can see it. There are like location tags on each page so that it looks like it has it looks different than I guess it would be when you're listening to me read it. So there may be two different experiences to the work, a visual one and an auditory one.
Okay, and Kate, you had a question?
Thank you. My question is also for Sara, and the name is Call Me Bess, B-E-S.
Spes means hope in Greek, and I was like looking for a word to assign this robot or intelligence, and the word spes, like it, I didn't want to use like a really overused mythological term, but spes, hope, was trapped in Pandora's box, and I liked the idea that it is hope, but sort of it's got a twinge of ominous nature to it, because we don't quite know what will happen if we let it out or leave it in. I mean, yeah, there's a like sort of God type. I mean, if you Google spes, there's a whole mythology to the word that I should probably research more before I answer questions on it. But it's been a while since I named it.
Spelling of it, is it S-P-E-S?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so then the I was getting that sense listening to feel like when the students were all I was a temporarily a substitute for paraprofessionals, and so I would be assigned all kinds of different jobs, but every time I would engage in old school teaching or telling a story, well, we don't do that anymore. We're just coding. Everything's coding. And so that was what I was getting from this, voice of artificial intelligence that was, this kind of mythological background that you've now just said brings in a lot of different myriad of elements, but it's kept making me think, so is this relating to we don't smile at each other anymore, we're just coding. So I was getting a lot of a shutdown of being in the schools for just a few years. I had a retail gallery and shop for 35 years, and all I did was engage and talk with people. So suddenly I was in that educational system that basically shut everything down that I was familiar with in a social level. So what you were doing was extremely creative, but it also made me feel very cold, separated. Yeah. So
It's not supposed to feel cold. The book's actually broken up in threes. I really like separating things into triads. And so the throughout the book, so the 3 chapters are called molten, suspended, fusion, and glassifying. And those words are, I pulled them from the process of how the glass on our phones are made. So it's a special kind of glass, and suspended fusion is just a term for how the glass is created to be like, you know, break proof. And so then glassifying, they're these technical mechanical terms. And I used those terms to create a architecture for the book that also could follow the Inferno. So what happens through this being's process is that it goes through a journey. And in the first section in Molten, it follows a hell type journey where and the voices that it hears are scary and disturbing. And then in the suspended fusion section, the person is in sort of a purgatory, or it becomes more of a person, and the intent is that it's not cold. And I hope that this disturbs people, I hope that it's not cold. I hope it's disturbing and strange and eerie, because the voice in the book is supposed to be something you can identify with. And like any other person that's going through coming of age kind of story. And then the glassifying section is a merging of this experience. And that's the heaven, the meeting Beatrice section.
It's incredibly intriguing. And so I really was engaged in that. Now, what's the name of the book that's in the 3 parts?
Call Me Spess.
Call Me Spess. And when was that published?
It's coming out this fall.
So
previewing it.
Yeah, it was absolutely intriguing. But, I was taking it personally for when I was being told we don't do that anymore, and no one's going to like storytelling. And so I would go out into the playground with the little ones and would start singing a song. Sun, sun, golden Mr. Sun, shine your love on everyone. And I'd get like kind of a Pied Piper. All these little kids would come. And then the older kids would say, "You're weird." And maybe some of that's natural too. But so I'm very intrigued with this book. It's kind of almost sci-fi.
Okay,
Well,
doesn't anyone else have another question?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Sarah, I'm sorry, did I interrupt you? Were you going to say something? I didn't mean to.
No, I just was going to put my email in the chat to anyone can keep in touch if they like to get more information.
Okay, we don't have the chat on. Our security is pretty strict because we were bombed once last year. So I cut out a lot of that stuff, which kind of solved the issue. But at the end, I definitely want both of you to give your websites, and they can find out the information there. And Indran, I have a question for you. I was like so impressed, writing in 5 languages. Oh my God. How do you do that? How do you go back and forth? Or do you spend more time with one and the others just once in a while? I mean, are you really that fluent in all 5 languages? You can do that. I'm just amazed.
Well, I try to keep up. I mean, it's like an athletic, keeping in shape. You have to sort of do your exercises in each language, and every day. If you let it go, the language leaves you, or begins to leave you, or threatens you. You're not giving me attention. You're not giving me the time I need and require. So you just have to answer back. And one day I might be tired in English, but awake in French or in Spanish, or it might be midnight and I start writing a poem in French because I haven't written in French in a few days, and so it's the clock is ticking somehow. There's the call of the wild or something. The call of the language is coming into me, and it doesn't matter the time. Now I do try to sleep, and I do engage in daily activities such as reading and attending to my mother and so on. But talking to other important people like my daughter or my son, but and of course my partner in poetry there across the water now. Oh, so not across the water, just up the coast. But no, I mean, I do what needs to be done to get the languages work. I am weaker at the moment in Portuguese, and I'm a little weaker in Creole than I would like to be. But every week I write a poem in French and a poem in Spanish for newspapers. So I'm obliged to produce a column, and it's a column, but it's a poetry column. It's an old dream of mine that I've been able to realize in these two newspapers that publish, and they both happen to publish on the island of Quisqueya or Hispaniola, where so you have two countries there, Haiti and the Dominican Republic. And so I publish in a Haitian newspaper and I publish in a Dominican newspaper. And so the Haitian newspaper gives me the opportunity to publish in Creole or French as I wish. So, I mean, I could write a poem in Creole instead, but lately I haven't done that. I have a book though by Creole poems coming out next year, translated by myself actually into English. So that's coming out in 2022. And so I'm looking forward to that. And then the other thing is, each language feeds into there's a kind of community, that's why I don't believe in borders. I really don't like being classified as a Sri Lankan poet or even an American poet. I mean, I've always wanted to be an American poet, but I keep being classified as a Sri Lankan American poet or some kind of hyphenated thing. And I guess maybe the only category that I really like to belong to is poet, whether it's in French or in English or in any language. And then the other thing is friends, poets who, especially, but all friends who take the time to read what I write in advance of publishing and give me comments and support. Some of them are here in this chat tonight, and especially when I write in English. So I'm very grateful to you for your evaluation of these poems. Sometimes I disagree and get upset, but that's okay. That's all part of the process of purifying and shaping and honing the work until it's ready for prime time. Prime time is a very American concept, I think. I don't know what we call it in other places, but anyways, I don't know. I hope the beginning of an answer to your question. I mean, Dominique is here from Australia. I'm so grateful to you. It's a long way away, and she writes in French and in English, and so we have, and Marcos writes in Portuguese, but he translates from English and French and Spanish, and so we have these sorts of models around there, and I just am another example of it. Happen to be living in Rockville, Maryland. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. That was interesting, and welcome from other countries here too. Definitely. Does anyone else have another question for them? Okay, well, then I guess that will be it. Would both of you please give your website address?
Well, it's a bit problematic. I'll start. I have a website. It's indranmx.com, but I don't update it very much. But you can check it out, and some information is there. I would recommend that you just Google Indran, INDRAN, and YouTube, and you'll find the poetry channel. And please, if you don't already subscribe, consider subscribing to that channel and sending work as well to me by email. My email is indranmx@gmail.com. The books I read from are available on Amazon or on the websites of the publishers, Hanging Loose Press. You can find their books also at Small Press Distribution. And Blue Window, you can go to your local bookstore and ask for it, and they will order it because it's being distributed by Ingram. So I think it should be accessible. It's also available at Amazon. And Uncivil War is available from the publisher Mawenzi House or from Amazon and some other places. So the books are available. And of course, if you write to me and you would like a signed copy or something, please get in touch. I'd be happy to. I'm a little slow at getting to the post office, but I'll do my best if you reach out to me and you would like a copy. That's it. Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, my website is just www and then my full name, which is Sara Cahill Marron. It's spelled like that. .com. No H. CAHILLMARRON. And leave my emails on there somewhere in the About Me section. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for coming. And our next reading is Sunday. And we are having Ukrainian poets read and translators. So I hope you can join us. It's at 1:30. And if you're interested, email me for the link. And so that'll be it for tonight. And thank you everyone for coming. And thank you again, Indran and Sara. You guys were wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
What
very
is
much.
your email?
It's editor@cervenabarvapress.com. Do you need me to spell it or?
Yes.
Okay, CERVENA press.com. And editor, of course, in the beginning.
Okay.
And it may be an easier way, look up my name, Gloria Mindock, Mindock, and it'll come up on Google.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay.
Could I?
All
could you-
right. Yes, Indran.
Sorry, Great, just because I know you're up in Massachusetts, where I just want to say that we'll be up there reading at Gloria bookstore on Saturday, November 6th in person. So if you happen to be nearby and want to stop by, it would be great to see you.
Oh, that's great. I would love to meet you in person.
Yeah.
So, and Sara too. So that's great. Yeah, it's a wonderful bookstore. Have you been there before?
I have a long time ago, but looking forward to it. Saturday, November 6th. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess that's it for tonight. And thank you so much, everyone. And good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, Mervyn.
Bye.